Welcome to the 7th episode of 13 Ways to Lead with your host, the 13th Command Chief of the Air National Guard, Chief Master Sgt. Maurice Williams. Our featured guest today is Staff Sgt. Kacy Hikel from the 101st Air Refueling Wing, Maine Air National Guard. I'm Master Sgt. Eric Gallion, and today we are talking about how to lead through decisiveness and follow-up. Be decisive and purpose-focused. Be action-oriented, make tough decisions, but also be compassionate, empathetic, and dialed in to the pulse of the organization. Follow up on suspense tasks in a timely manner and deliberate manner. Here's your host, Command Chief Williams.
Hey, well, it's another great day and another great episode we're going to start off with. And today I have one of the rock stars from Maine, from the 101st Air Refueling Wing, Staff Sgt. Kacy Hikel. And what I'll start off with, I'm going to give you your opportunity to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell a little bit about yourselves.
Well, Chief, first off, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here. So a little bit about myself. I am Staff Sgt. Kacy Hikel. I am from the 101st Air Refueling Wing in Bangor, Maine. I joined the Maine Air National Guard in 2016 as a dental technician. I had previously worked civilian side as a dental assistant, so it was nice that that skill set transferred over. I am still assigned to the medical group. Militarily, I am the NCOIC of the dental clinic. But Monday through Friday, I have a full-time job in the Inspector General's office. So I am the self-assessment program manager for the wing. And for that role, I'm responsible for providing accurate and timely data to Wing Command to help them assess risk to wing readiness and mission execution. And then when I met you in 2021, I was the president of the Junior Enlisted Council. And the year prior to that, I was the secretary. So now that I have done my term on the executive committee, it's nice to take a step back and just be a participating member of the council. So those are my big three hats that I wear.
Well, good. Well, it's definitely an honor for you to be here on the podcast with us today. And from my time of meeting you up there when I first doing a Junior Enlisted Council meeting, based on our conversation and how you was leading that particular council, we want to get you here to share your perspective with other NCOs and airmen out in the field. So we're just glad for you to be here.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief, why don't you go ahead and start by talking about the importance of decisiveness?
When I talk about leading through by being decisive and follow up, that is being purpose driven and purpose focused. Being focused, but at the same time being compassionate and empathetic, but to make progress in the decision-making process. A lot of people sometimes need a little push on the follow-up so we can help make a decision. But I think leading through decisiveness and follow-up, stay focused, follow up on a decision so we can push the ball on down the field. I think based on your role in a Junior Enlisted Council, what things that you have to do to stay focused. Could you elaborate on your personal experience as a Junior Enlisted Council member?
Yeah, so I actually have a story to share with you first. You talked about through decisiveness, it's important that we empower airmen to make decisions at their level. So in 2019, I had just started working in the Inspector General's office. And the wing commander would come down and have coffee. He would make a cup of coffee. And he genuinely would ask, how's it going? Mm-hmm. And so one day I mentioned to him, sir, do we have any female chiefs? And next thing I knew, I had been introduced to our state command chief at the time, and she gave me the amazing opportunity to join her on a trip here to DC to the Enlisted Field Advisory Council meeting. And that was an experience I will absolutely never forget. So I remember going to the Readiness Center, and there were all of these chiefs sitting at these tables, and they were networking and collaborating to make decisions for the betterment of our enlisted force. And I remember seeing that and thinking to myself, someday I want a seat at that table. But the amazing part is that I haven't had to wait in my career to be a chief to make decisions to help the enlisted force. My local leadership team has empowered our junior enlisted council to make some of those decisions locally. So that's just a phenomenal feeling to do that as a junior enlisted airman.
Well, that's great. That's a great story, and I'm glad you shared that story, because I like for our listening audience to take heed to that, of the opportunities, because one of the things I always say, hey, we got to see it to believe it. That's something that will generate that drive in us to know that it's possible. If you never see it, you don't know if it's really possible. That's something that you have in you want to do, but when you can actually see it, and you see a representation of more than one individual that you like to strive to be, you're like, wow.
Yes.
It's out there for us to do.
And maybe it shows you a dream that you didn't even know you had.
That's correct. One of the other things, in part of this leading through Decisive is the follow-up part. Do you have an example of a time when you had to really push the ball real hard to get that follow-up and follow through on some decisions or initiatives?
So the Junior Enlisted Council, we have committees. So if there's an event or initiative that we're trying to push forward, we'll assign it to the appropriate committee. And then there's a committee chair who will help push some of those decisions and assign them to other members, so that the executive committee members aren't the only ones making decisions and pushing things forward. So delegate some of that authority down and empower them to lead for that particular event or initiative themselves. And we have so many great ideas. So if we tried to do them all at the executive level, we would lose track. So to have like a POC for each thing helped us be more successful in pushing things forward. And then they share responsibilities within that committee, and it's easier for a group of 3 or 4 people to stay connected on where they're at with a task than the 20 of us. And then every time we meet, we get updates on where they're at, and is there something that the council as a whole can help them with? Do they not have enough resources of something to accomplish what they need to?
Okay. Now, I'm going to flip a little bit. In your personal life, is that something that you always had internally as an individual to follow up on things, or was that built within your upbringing within your family? Kind of elaborate on that in the personal side.
Yeah, I think it's just a part of who I am and values. I want to make sure that if I'm responsible for something, that I successfully accomplish that and don't drop the ball on anything. But I also think it's a huge part of my personality. I don't know if you've ever taken the 4 lenses.
Yes, I have.
So when I first came to the IG office, we took that, and it was really enlightening because I learned a lot about myself, but it also gave me an opportunity to learn a lot about my teammates and how can we best interact with each other. And so I am a gold. So I think that, I'm the personality type that wants to organize everything and have everything in its box. So yes, following up and making sure that everything is as it should be is a huge part of who I am.
Right. So that's a personality trait, that who you are. So, and you see that in a lot of individuals who are leaders. That personality goes with them when they're leading, because that's who they are in that manner. Now, within your AFSC, you're in the medical field. Within your in your group, in the medical group, have you been met with any challenges? Because I know you've on the drill weekends or RSD weekends, it's very busy. And being able to follow up on items that are, routine things, because you're so busy doing the week as you're doing RSD, pushing customers to, but the regular routine, is that a challenge for you in a way that you always have things structured, but you also got to be moving fast, get people processed through, because that area is so customer service oriented during the week?
It is a very tricky balance. You don't want to keep an 06 waiting for their dental appointment because we're running behind. Every member needs to be given appropriate attention and care. And then we also have our civilian dental forms that they need to turn in routinely every year. So we have a stack of those that get turned in throughout the month. We're just a DSG office, so there's nobody there full time to update as they come in. So we get a whole stack of those. So it can be tricky to make sure that we're properly meeting and giving attention to our patients, and then doing the administrative tasks as well. But then I also have 2 airmen that I supervise that I want to make sure their training records are squared away and they're getting the attention that they need. And then we also have some exciting opportunities to do things like IRTs. And then we had a really awesome opportunity where we have in Bath, Maine, they build ships. So the Navy has some ships down there, and they were working on one of their destroyers. And when COVID hit, their medical readiness tanked. And they were having to go civilian side, but civilian offices were backed up. So they really couldn't get their medical readiness up to where it should be before this ship departed. So we had the opportunity to go and help them increase their medical readiness. And thankfully, it was a success, and they had the highest medical readiness of a ship to ever leave Bath, Maine.
Wow.
So that was incredible. Very proud of that. But to successfully pull off something like that, it was something greater than my daily tasks. And there were some challenges along the way. We did not have we call it a Nomad. So it's a portable x-ray machine. And that's one of the things that you need to take x-rays of members' teeth to make sure that on the surface it might look great, but through an x-ray we might see some underlying issues. So to have a full military exam, you want x-rays taken. We didn't own one of those machines, so we needed to borrow it from the Army. It was such a short turnaround that we had like a handshake deal on it, and then it was like, oh, wait a minute, we haven't done the proper paperwork, and do we have, our Air Force members have the proper training? And so there was a lot of moving pieces. But I had leadership that believed in this mission and wanted us to have that training opportunity and to help the Navy. So with their support, we successfully got everything that we needed. And it opened doors for us to prove that things like this we can pull off. And in the future, we hope to collaborate more with the Navy and the Army National Guard. I think following through with something when you continue to have challenges, it can be discouraging, but continue to believe in what you're doing.
Right.
Makes it a lot easier. And to have leadership and teammates that are right there alongside you, believing in it.
Right. And that swings to another part of what I talk about is knowing the pulse of the organization. With the airmen that you lead right now, do you feel like you're pretty dialed in to what makes them tick and what keeps them energized and motivated within your particular work center?
They're both very new, so I'm still getting to know them. They see how involved I am with a million different things on the wing, and I just have such a drive and energy, and I love my job. So I think bringing some of that energy to them gives them the energy to mirror it. And when you have an opportunity to sit down and actually ask them, what are your goals and aspirations, and why did you choose dental? It helps you get to understand them better. And maybe money isn't a motivating factor. Maybe, so the more that you understand what motivates them, you can better tailor things to align with their goals.
Right. And some of the things you said made me reflect back to one of my other principles about leading by example. Just like you said, hey, we got to show people what right look like. And one of my other areas is leading by empowerment. And that's another thing that I reflect about on when you made those comments, because hey, showing your energy, your inspiration, hey, and giving them an opportunity to have buy-in in what's going on, I think that means a lot. We're going to switch hats here. We're going to come out of medical, go back into the IG office, Coach C. That affects the whole wing.
It does.
Has there been anything that you focus on in that particular role in your position to have an effect on the entire wing?
That is the amazing thing about being given the opportunity to work in the IG office. I started there as an A1C, and it was such a gift to be given this view that is so holistic of the wing, how all these different units work together for a bigger mission. In medical, we are very medical oriented, right? So we know our own mission, we understand our own roles, but I think sometimes we forget that we play a bigger part. There's a reason why we have a medical mission, and it's to support the wing mission. And what is the wing mission? And so I'm the wing staff, I'm the self-assessment program manager, and I got the opportunity to work at the unit levels with all the different unit SAPMs and then help them evaluate risk and embrace the red. So a quick example would be your commander's driving the bus, and he's not a subject matter expert of everything that goes on with the bus. As SMEs, it's important to report things that you know are risk areas. So if you have a SME on your tires and he looks at them and like, wow, our tires are bald, he needs to embrace that red rather than pretending that they're okay, and communicate that to the bus driver, the commander, and say, our tires are bald. Then that gives the commander the ability to assess that risk and, all right, maybe we don't drive in a rainstorm. Maybe we drive slower. If there's something that they can't do, but it's a requirement, is it a requirement that has a waiver so that we can reduce some of that administrative burden on them? Or is it something that we can't waive and needs to be done, but we're not able to do it because we're short on resources, but the mission can still get done, we can still move forward? If we don't embrace the red, they're not aware of the actual status of wing readiness and mission execution.
So now, if you was king for a day, what would you change in that program?
I would just try to continue to embrace change, not be afraid of it. And just because we've been doing it a certain way for 20 plus years, and it might be successful, but maybe there's a better way now.
There is, yes.
So process improvement. It's hard. It's not quite a natural part of our culture yet, but we're getting there.
One of the things I talk about a lot based on General C.Q. Brown is accelerating change. You know, he talk about the actions, orders that he has out there. And one of them, he got A, B, C, and D. One of them is D, and it's design implementation. We need to change the designs on how we do things. Yes. What work now may not be what we need to advance in the future. It's a challenge with the culture,
yes,
but we need to accelerate that. With the Junior Enlisted Council, y'all have more power than anyone on that base because it's more you. But you just got to pool your resources together and get your platform and say, hey, we need to make some changes throughout our organization, and this will help it.
And I think they're hungry for that.
Hey, time to eat then, yeah. Time to eat. As they see those incremental changes, the momentum will stay there and continue to move the ball down the field. How much mentorship do the top 3 or Chief Counsel at your wing provide to your Junior Enlisted Council?
We're all airmen that are go-getters and are really involved in their units. So sometimes it was challenging for the unit level leadership to let go of those members for just an hour to go to meetings, especially on a drill weekend where, like you said, we all have so much that we're trying to do and get done. So the chiefs said, let your members go to the meeting. This is important. Support them on that. And it became easier for us as the Junior Enlisted Council to get all of our members together for a meeting. And we also had a chief recommend to us that the Junior Enlisted Council meet in the DFAC and eat lunch together prior to our meeting. And it created a visual for other airmen and wing members to be like, wow, who is so special that they get an entire reserve table at the DFAC? I want to sit at that reserve table. So, but they would see us collaborating together and networking. So that sparked some interest in our council and helped us grow as well.
Right. Well, you know, I see that across the 90 wings as I go around, the challenges of councils being able to come together and meet. And that's one thing I emphasize to senior NCOs. Allow them that opportunity, at least one member per squadron, to come out and they take the information back. If you can't have multiple individuals to attend, it's beneficial for them to continue to grow because they're going to be those senior NCOs because they're going to take over for those other councils and they've already got the experience and got the background. Hey, that's what we want. That's what it's all about. Now, one of the other things, the airmen that you supervise, are they involved in the council?
They are not. One of them just came back from basic training and tech school, just getting her through the ropes. Mm-hmm. And the other airman just transferred from maintenance to dental. So my first goal is to get them established in the dental clinic. And once they're comfortable with that, bring them to a council meeting. And the other thing that I like to do as well is encourage the council members where if they have an airman that has some time available, bring them to student flight because most likely they just came back from basic training and tech school and have them share their experiences. Mm-hmm. And that's just a quick way that they can tell their story and help the student flight members answer some of their concerns and what is basic training like during COVID times, and will I have to do this, and how do I do my hair, and just simple things. But having our new airmen be a part of that, really empowers them, and it also is a great way for them to kind of break the ice on public speaking.
Well, hey, it's been great having you on the podcast. I look forward to seeing you again, and thank you for coming up to the National Capital Region and spending some time with us and share your perspective on leading by being decisive and follow up. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Chief. It's been an honor.
Thank you, Chief Williams and Sergeant Hikel, for taking the time to speak to us about leading through decisiveness and follow-up. As leaders, we must be decisive and purpose-focused, be action-oriented, make tough decisions, but also be compassionate, empathetic, and dialed into the pulse of the organization. Follow up on suspense tasks in a timely and deliberate manner. Make sure to follow the Air National Guard on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And for more of Team 13, follow the Director of the Air National Guard on Facebook. Join us again next month on 13 Ways to Lead, where we will be tackling the topic of leadership and accountability. From all of us here at the Air National Guard Podcast Network, have a great Air National Guard Day. Team 13 out. 13 Ways to Lead is produced by Major Amber Schatz. Our editor and sound mixer is Master Sergeant Brandy Fowler. This episode was recorded at the Secretary of the Air Force Public Affairs Studio in the Pentagon.